Now it's 85 something years. People asking the ulama, when are you going to bring it? No, you don't worry about that, son. You worry about implementing the Sharia in your life, bringing about the Sharia. Our job is to worry about that. Just like they're the first ones to give the Mahdi the bay'ah. The Mahdi will not be given the bay'ah first in Coventry, or in Seattle, Washington, or Los Angeles, or Brooklyn, Queens. The bay'ah is given by the ulama at the Yemeni Rukn at the Kaaba. So it's important that we understand who the Rabbaniyun are. Link up with them, or link up with those who are linked to them. Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he then says, quote, and then when the Exalted One says that the Rabbaniyun, be Rabbaniyun, and be of those who are the Rabbaniyun according to what they know and teach of the book, and what they learn in their lessons. Now, knowing in the lessons, the speech here is referring to, according to Az-Zujaj, that their intention and their guidance should be in learning the guidance of the ulama and the judges. Because the alim only gets the title of alim when he's acting according to his knowledge. And the Exalted One has said, وَلَا يَأْمُرَكُمْ أَن تَتَّخِذُوا الْمَلَائِكَةَ وَالنَّبِيِّينَ أَرْبَابًا أَيَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالْكُفْرِ بَعْدَ إِذْ أَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. And he did not order you that you should take the angels and prophets as lords. Has he ordered you with kufr when you had been Muslims before that? Surah Al Imran, the 3rd Surah, 80. And so he says, and he has not commanded you that you should do these things. Meaning that the human being that's been given the prophethood is not going to order you to commit these acts. And so Allah has not ordered the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam to commit these despicable acts. He would not do that. The Exalted One says further, وَإِذْ أَخَذَ اللَّهُ مِيثَاقَ النَّبِيِّينَ لَمَا آتَيْتُكُم مِّن كِتَابٍ وَحِكْمَةٍ ثُمَّ جَاءَكُمْ رَسُولٌ مُصَدِّقٌ لِمَا مَعَكُمْ لِتُؤْمِنُنَّ بِهِ وَلَتَنصُرُنَّهُ قال أأقررتم وأخذتم على ذلكم إصري قالوا أقررنا قال فاشهدوا وأنا معكم من الشاهدين فمن تولى بعد ذلك فأولئك هم الفاسقون أفغير دين الله يبغون وله أسلم من في السماوات والأرض طوعا وكرها وإليه يرجعون. And when Allah took the covenant of the prophets, of that which I was to give to you of the book and the wisdom, then when there shall come to you the messenger confirming that which is with you, that you are to believe in him and assist him in that. He said, do you affirm, and will you take a hold of that covenant with firm hand held? They said, we affirm. He said, so bear witness, and I am with you as a witness. So whoever should turn away after that, then those are the rebellious sinners. Is it other than the deen of Allah that they are seeking? And he has the submission of all of what is in the skies and the earth, willingly or by coercion, and to him returns all things. Surah Al Imran, the 3rd Surah, ayat 81 to 83. When Allah took the covenant of the prophets, what this is referring to, according to Ibn Abbas, is the covenant that was given is they all confirmed the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam from before time, as narrated by Ali ibn Abbas, Qatada, and As-Sudai. Secondly, that he took the covenant of the first of the prophets, that they would believe in that which was to come, in the beginning and the end from among them. As said by Tawus, Mujahid, Al-Rabi', and others. Also, the prophet that's to come to them confirming. Now, the covenant, according to what the people of knowledge has mentioned, is taken from all the prophets and their nations. And it was just sufficient to mention prophets without having mentioned their nations, because the prophet are the spokesmen for their nations. And because taking the covenant means following all of that which was given and all of that which was commanded. So they are to believe in this prophet, and they are to follow him according to all of that which has been given. When there comes to them a messenger, now Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu said, Allah has not sent any prophet except he took from him the covenant that he would be sending the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and that he is living, so that he might believe in him and that he might assist him if he should come in his time. All the prophets as well, the covenant was taken that they would affirm one another. And the covenant of truth was taken, that they would confirm that which was given before. Close quote. Now this ayah, you can cross-reference Surah Al Imran, the 3rd Surah, ayah 81, with Surah Al-Ahzab, the 33rd Surah, ayah 7. What Ali is getting at is a statement that was made by the Prophet ﷺ, that is in the Sunan of Imam At-Tirmidhi, where he said, أَنَا أَوَّلُ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ فِي الْخَلْقِ وَآخِرُهُمْ مُرْسَلٌ. I am the first of the prophets created and the last one sent. That hadith in Tirmidhi is connected to this ayah and another ayah. If you look in most of the tafsir literature, that hadith will be quoted by Ibn Al-Jawzi under Surah Al-Ahzab, the 33rd Surah, ayah 7. Why? Because the prophets are all quoted in historical order. Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa. But he's quoted first. We took the covenant of all the prophets from you, meaning the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, from Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, and Isa. They're out of historical order because the other four, they're in their right order. Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa. That's correct order. So the companion asked him, why are you listed first? See, this is why I love the companions, because they always ask to get to the bottom of these things. Why are you listed first? And he said, because I'm the first of the prophets created and the last one sent. That's what this is about. So when you look at Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, you look at his statement, he said there was no prophet sent except that a covenant was taken from him that if Muhammad was sent while that prophet was alive, he would believe in him and assist him when he came. So this is something that was in the beginning of all ages. I've already referred to the hadith in Al-Hakim that's graded as Sahih about La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah being written on the throne. I've already quoted the commentary of how many people said it's authentic. Taqiyuddin ibn Taymiyyah even has said this is authentic from Majmu' Fatawa, volume 10, pages 95 to 97. He said the same. He said it's correct if someone should say that nothing in the sky and earth was created except for his sake. He said this is a correct statement to make based upon all the hadith information that we have. He says this. So people that claim that he's their authority have to listen to him themselves. But this is a correct statement. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam existing first, because this conversation is happening in the unseen. So Allah taking the covenant from all the prophets that when he comes, you'll bear witness to them. Everyone's there. So he's making them bear witness to this. Surah Al-Ahzab, the 33rd Surah, ayah 7. The same language is used, although slightly different wording, but the same language is used, and that's where the hadith in Tirmidhi is always quoted by all the scholars of tafsir, that he was created first. Now the first prophet to come to earth with a body and bodily form was the Prophet Adam alayhi salam. But the first one created, period, is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because it's hardly the case that someone can be asked or be asking about someone or making reference to someone like the Prophet Adam alayhi salam and other prophets, and they don't exist and their name is on the throne and everything else. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when he makes people make reference or something or make reference to something, it's something that is indeed the case, and it is there. So his predating the other prophets in existence brings together other statements that the Prophet ﷺ had made when he said that time has now returned to its original order. There are 12 months on the calendar, 4 of which are sacred. when Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, on the back of that hadith and commentary, said that time has been going backwards until now. So the order that the prophets are coming in has been backwards up until now, because he was the first one. So what we've been doing, really, in revelatory terms, is we've started from the end of the book. And we've now reached the beginning of the book. And everything from the end of the book, it didn't make sense. Why is there that conclusion? That doesn't make any, I don't know what's going on here. How is all this happening? And then all of a sudden we get to the beginning of the book. Oh, that's what this is about. Try this sometime. Try to read a book of fiction or non-fiction. Start from the back. John was finally dead, or what have you. Thinking, wow, who's John? All these people, it doesn't make sense. Because the way it was being laid out didn't make sense at the time. Then you get to the beginning. So the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he comes, and all of a sudden he starts solving all these issues that the rabbis have. Yeah, well, what about this verse? It's this. Well, what about these verses? And what about this? It means this. They ask him 4 questions, he answers all of them. People are challenging him and arguing with him. Abu Hudayfa comes to him one day, he stands up to challenge him. One of the idol worship, one of the sons of one of the idol worshippers, he says, oh, who's my father? He says, your father is such and such. And he was different to who he believed his father was. So when he goes home and informs his mother slaps him and says, how dare you put my shame in the street among the people? You want to play games with the Prophet? This is the thing. So all of this, when we're watching all the prophets and the revelation, there was always that portion that the nations didn't understand. The prophets did. And that's why they often spoke to the people. And when they would speak to them, they would miss portions of what those prophets would say. And then all of a sudden, all of this information gets laid out with the coming of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You tell me, just as a final point before moving on, does it make any sense to the Prophet Isa bin Maryam alayhi salam to come to the children of Israel, people that have been under the Mosaic law, and come and say, yes, I've come to make halal for you some of that which has been made haram for them, telling them that camel is permissible to eat and all these other things? What? These are people that have been used to not mixing meat and milk products and all these other things. You come, no, it's okay, camel's all right, it's not an issue. And the birds that you'd been forbidden, forget all that, it doesn't matter now. What? What's he getting them ready for? He's getting them ready for Surah Saf, the 61st Surah, ayat 6, the one that's to come after, bearing the title Ahmed. He's getting them ready for that. Returning back to that original covenant. Everything else before was a stoppage. But he's preparing them for everything else. Now, Imam Ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he then says, quote, so, let it be the case and let it be remembered. Allah had said, so bear witness, meaning that he was informing them. And Allah was speaking to the prophets when he was saying this. So bear witness against your nations that the truth is being told to you. Bear witness against yourselves that I have said the truth to you. And he, Allah, was also, according to the scholars of Tafsir, referring to the angels when he said this as well, as said by Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. Allah then said, is it other than the deen of Allah that you are seeking? Now, other than the deen of Allah, what this is talking about is, according to the statement of Ibn Abbas, the people of the book were disputing. And both groups were claiming that they are the closest to the deen of Ibrahim. So the Prophet ﷺ said, both of these groups are completely having nothing to do with the religion of Ibrahim. And they became angry. And they said, by Allah, we're not pleased with your ruling. We won't take by and judge by your religion. And so this ayah was sent down. And the intent of the deen of Allah is indeed the very deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the same. He has the submission, meaning the complete obedience and governance of all that's in the skies and the earth, willingly or by coercion. Now the willingly in this ayah means submission with ease. And the coercion here means the submission that's coming by the difficulties that will be experienced by the self and the nafs when it's broken. Now the meaning of willing and with coercion has 6 points that are being referred to in this ayah. Firstly, it's referring to the Islam for whoever would obey the covenant willingly or by coercion. Secondly, the believer will be prostrating out of obedience, and the unbeliever will be prostrating. The believer will be prostrating out of obedience, while the unbeliever, his shade will be prostrating to Allah, but the unbeliever abstains from prostrating and dislikes such. Thirdly, it's referring to that all that affirm the covenant that Allah is the creator, then these people are willingly submitting. But those who commit idolatry shall submit coercively at another point, because they're bearing witness against their own idolatry. Fourthly, the believer, he submits willingly, and the unbeliever becomes a Muslim out of fear of the sword, thinking that he may get killed if he doesn't become a Muslim. The believer, fifthly, the believer submits willingly, and the unbeliever submits right when he sees the punishment of Allah coming, but by that time it's too late and will not benefit him. And sixthly, it is referring to Islam for all who submit themselves to follow that order. But those who are doing so by coercion do so struggling, and they are resisting their own selves. Close quote. Now, the statement being referenced here about the believer submitting willingly and the unbeliever submitting when he sees the punishment of Allah is nigh and then it doesn't benefit him at all. Go back to the hadith in the Sahih of Imam Muslim, where the Prophet ﷺ, and it's under the chapter of when Iman will not benefit a soul. Now it mentions that the believers, after the victorious and triumphant arrival of the Prophet Isa and the Mahdi, after their time, their death, there will be the cool wind that comes from Sham, and every Muslim that smells it dies, and it is only the unbelievers that are left. The unbelievers witness the sun rising from the west and want to believe, but will not be able to, for it will benefit them not. For no soul that didn't believe before will not believe at that time. Will not be able to believe at that. Will not be able to believe at that time. So no soul that did not believe before will be able to believe at that time. So this is why you'll find books written by the ulama that state the door of Tawbah is always open as long as ma lam yugharghir, as long as the soul isn't gargling in the throat, and as long as the sun has not risen from the west. It's always open. So at that time, people will want to be Muslim, but it will be too late. If you see 1.6 billion people die suddenly in one instant throughout the world, planes falling out of the sky, cars slamming over on the side of the road, people that didn't know that their son or daughter was a Muslim, they're unbelievers. There are people that have hidden their Islam for 15, 20 years. I know an executive at Microsoft, he's hid his Islam successfully from the office. For 15, 20 years he's been Muslim. They don't even know he's Muslim. Imagine them banging on the door to his office, and then eventually they kick the door in and they find him dead there. Imagine what the news reports will be like. All throughout the world, billions of people mysteriously have died. going into your local masjid, or an unbeliever going into the masjid, finding everyone dead in sujood. So many people dead standing up. You know, in packed masjids like in Ramadan or Fridays in certain masjids, they're so tightly packed, they're dead standing up and they can't move. The Kaaba. People laying like stacks of cordwood dead around the Kaaba like dominoes. In Medina. All these 48 majority Muslim countries. 250 million Muslims spread over 13,500 islands in Indonesia and Malaysia. Dead. Gone. 60 million Muslims in Egypt. 10 million in the United States. 2 million in this country. 100 million in this country. 60 million in that country. Gone in an instant. Obviously, any thinking person wants to figure out, it can't be bird flu, it can't be SARS, it can't be this, it can't be that. What these people had must have been true.